All right, so let's see, what are we gonna talk about now? So what change means to me, right? So you can argue, you know, the concept of change. You know, nobody wants the same situation, right? They don't want the same, you know, house or car. You know, as nice as it may be, you know, if you've ever heard of the concept of new car smell, you know, nothing beats that, right? And what I'll tell you is that it's not the smell of that new car smell that drives you in, although it may be quite a pleasant one that you come to admire, but that's not the reason why. It's not the, how do you say, you know, set, right? It's just, you know, the feeling of having that new car is what creates that concept, right? Of, you know, why a new car is so special. It's just because the car is new. It's not the old car. And it may not even be the greatest car in the world. It may not be the nicest car you've ever had. And frankly, it could be worse than the car you've had. It could be less in value or less rare, whatever you call it, than what you had before. But the fact that it's a new car, you know, is what drives you to it. It's what makes you attracted to it, makes you want it. So it all boils down to the concept of change. You know, it's nice, you know, as people may have it, people love change. People love differences in their environment. Like right now I'm in the middle of nowhere. You know, I got the woods, looks like it got a lot of agriculture, and probably to these people here, the idea, you know, it's not to say that they don't like what they have, but if you give them a couple weeks or months to live in a big city environment, you know, like downtown, right, or the beach, you know, Miami Beach, living there, if you give them that option, they'll probably be amazed, like, wow, this is so awesome. Because, you know, not necessarily it's the coolest thing ever, but it's different. It's different than the life they had. It offers, you know, a variety for their life, right? So, and you can also argue, you know, that vice versa. Those people in the buildings would be quite delighted to try living a life out here in the middle of nowhere, where they can scream and yell, ah, you know, make all kinds of noises and not be heard, and not have to worry, you know, about their neighbor sleeping or not being able to throw a crazy party and have, you know, people complain about them because there's simply more rules to abide by, or too many people in one place, which you can argue is whether or not it's too many, that's up to you. But the point within itself is of the difference. I'm gonna offer a drastically different life here in the middle of nowhere than, you know, in the big city in downtown. So with that in mind, now that's why also two people may love the concept of vacations, right? You know, going about and exploring the world. Whoa, and we messed up because our arm shut off for just that split second, and we hope the camera is okay after that. But what may draw people, you know, to the idea of checking out a new spot or a new destination is, you know, the very fact that that destination is different than the one that they know, their hometown. And it may not be the flashiest location. It may not have beaches or villas as nice as Tahiti or Hawaii or whatever you think it has the greatest beaches. But that simple, you know, act of going to a different place and putting your body, right, because your whole body is in that location, and your mind through that change was what makes it so special to you. So for all you travelers and, you know, travel junkies, really stop and think about that, right? It's a big thing. Like, ask yourself, why am I traveling? Why do I want to go to this particular country or location or whatever? And yes, you may argue that those places are super cool and nice, but what you may be seeking is just the difference, right? The different location, right? You might be tired of what you have back home. And what you may come to realize is that you don't need a drastic location. You don't need to go all the way out to Paris or Australia, or for me, take a 30-hour drive and an hour flight to Japan, right? I don't really need that when I'm feeling the itch to get outside of my city. Why not just jump in a car and drive to a new town? That's quicker, saves me time, saves me money, and just scratches that same itch. And of course, when you get that itch to travel to a Japan or whatever, you'll have a better idea because you have better perspective of what it's like to go to those smaller towns and go on those little getaways, so that when you go on those huge ones, those big ones, you'll understand, you know, the significance of them, the meaning of them. So that's not to say that you can't do them, right? You can, but understand that they have a time and a place. You know, it wouldn't be feasible for me to be in a plane every day, traveling the world, going to all these crazy locations when I have to go to work, when I have to go to school, when I have priorities that I got to take care of. So to me, a quick weekend getaway, you're driving a couple hours in a car to a small town or a big town, whatever, you get the gist, might be more feasible because, you know, it's not as hard on me. And I'll actually admit to you that I'll enjoy that trip more because it won't be such a burden to me. You know, as nice as going to a Japan or an Australia maybe, I know that going there is just gonna bring stress. You know, unnecessary worry of how much is it gonna cost. You know, I have work to do. I'm not gonna be able to go out and enjoy the city like someone on vacation is supposed to be. But I understand now that it has its place. So yeah, so I never really, for that reason, understood the whole travel obsession. You know, that obsession of like going to all these countries and places. You know, of course I understand that that has its time and place. You know, there's a certain time that you probably want to go out and do those things and enjoy those places, you know, those nice beautiful cities, but you really got to understand, you know, when is the right time to do that? When is the most feasible time to do that with him? So, you know, why, you know, force yourself to try and fit in with those people, try and essentially, you know, not live your own life. Whoa, and we messed up. Because that, you know, that's what you might think brings happiness, right? Just having a beautiful Instagram or Facebook or whatever that shows all these different countries and places you've been to. But, you know, that's not what you really wanted to do. It's what you thought was cool and what your friends that was cool. And they might not even think that that's cool. So essentially, what you're doing is living someone else's life, someone else's, you know, set belief of happiness for you. Why would you want to, you know, essentially satisfy other people when you haven't satisfied yourself first? So understanding who you are as a person, what you like, you know, things that ultimately bring you joy in this life, you got to figure out what those things are and do them before you go out and come across other people and are able to sufficiently take in their advice and their opinions on what you think is right or wrong. You know, those beliefs that they may have, you know, because if you don't understand yourself, they can pretty much poison you. They can hurt your ability to make yourself happy, because you don't know what it is yet. You're letting someone else's belief tarnish who you are. It ruins your self-identity, you know, and knowing who you are, because you've attached somebody else's imagination or concept of you onto yourself, or concept of, you know, what it means to be happy, you know, what brings you joy in this life, when they don't know you. You know, nobody knows you better than you. So why let someone else, you know, miscalculate you? Because that's what it is. You know, they may not do that on purpose. They may not directly intend to hurt you or misjudge you, but that's what they're doing, because their scope or their ability to measure you and those things that make you happy and joyful and your ambitions aren't as good as yours, because you know yourself better than they do you. So, and that's not to say like a mother or a father or a close family member who's known you all your life might seemingly know you better than you. Of course, those may be the opinions that you want to take in the most and trust the most and respect the most, but even then, they probably don't know you as good as you. So simply being in that headspace, experiencing the consciousness of your life through you, is what sets you apart in knowing yourself, in knowing who you are as a person. So don't trust anyone, trust yourself. Key rule. So yeah.